there's a squirrel in your yard right now. Or there will be tomorrow at almost the same hour in almost the same spot. You've seen it so many times that you've stopped seeing it at all. The same pause on the same fence, the same small glance toward the same window. And you tell yourself it's the food, that any squirrel would come for the food, that it's just coincidence, wearing fur. It isn't. The squirrel that keeps coming back to your yard is not a series of identical strangers passing through. Far more often than you would ever guess, it is one animal, returning, and what pulls it back is far more specific than hunger, far more deliberate than habit, and far stranger than anyone has ever told you. Because it is not really returning to your yard at all. It's returning to something it remembers. Something it remembers about you. Welcome back to the Squirrel Mind, where we take one small, quiet secret about the creatures in your yard and we uncover it slowly, together. If that's something you love, take 1 second and subscribe. We do this every single week. No noise, no rush. Today, we are going into the memory of a returning squirrel. Not the question of whether it remembers, but what. What it has quietly filed away about your yard, your routine, and you. And where, exactly, you fit inside a map you never knew you were part of. And stay with me until the end, because the last thing a returning squirrel remembers about you is something almost no one realizes they taught it. And once you understand what it is, you will never look at that little pause on the fence the same way again. Let's begin. Number 1, it does not wander into your yard. It navigates to it. We like to picture a squirrel as something scattered, darting, twitching, ruled by accident and nerves. But the researchers who actually study squirrel cognition describe something much colder and much more precise. A mind built around space itself. A squirrel moves through its world the way you move through your own house in the dark. Not searching, remembering. Studies of spatial memory at universities like UC Berkeley have shown that a single squirrel can track thousands of separate locations across one season and return to them with an accuracy that no accident could ever explain. What this means for your yard is simple and a little unsettling. Your yard is not a place the squirrel stumbled into. It is a place the squirrel has memorized. The fence line, the low branch, the gap beneath the shed, the exact spot where food tends to appear, and the exact window a face tends to appear behind. All of it already drawn, already stored, long before it ever lets you see it standing there. Number 2, it remembers where it hid everything. A gray squirrel does not keep one pantry in one place. It scatters its fortune, burying nuts one at a time across hundreds, sometimes thousands of tiny, separate caches. Scientists call this scatter hoarding. And here is the part that quietly breaks people. It does not find them all again by smell. It finds them by memory. Researchers like Lucia Jacobs at Berkeley have found that squirrels actually organize their caches, sorting them by type, almost like folders in a filing cabinet, a strategy called chunking that makes an enormous memory possible to carry. One small mind, thousands of buried decisions, all kept in order. But what comes next is the part most people find impossible to believe. It was never meant to be perfect. The nuts a squirrel forgets do not simply rot away, they grow. The oaks, the hickories, the tall old trees standing at the edge of your yard may be there because a squirrel, years ago, remembered almost everything and forgot just enough. So what this means for your yard is this. A part of your yard is a living archive, a memory the squirrel is still tending, morning after morning, and a handful of memories it has quietly, accidentally turned into trees. Number 3, it remembers who you are. And this is where it stops being about food at all. Squirrels that live close to people slowly learn to tell those people apart. They watch the way you move. They learn your shape, your speed, the rhythm of your day, when the door opens, when the yard falls quiet, when the world is safe, and when it is not. A squirrel that bolts from a total stranger will sit calmly just 15 feet away from someone it has already filed as harmless. And that calm is not tameness, it is a judgment, a conclusion it reached about you, slowly, over many ordinary mornings, while you had no idea you were the one being studied. So what this means for your yard is this: the squirrel that doesn't run from you is not ignoring you. It recognizes you. It decided some time ago that you were not a danger, and it has remembered that decision every day since. Number 4, it remembers what and who it cannot trust. Because a squirrel's world is a map of danger just as much as it is a map of food. Its alarm calls are not random noise. The sharp, cutting cook, the long drawn-out quah, the hard flick of the tail. Each one encodes what kind of threat is near and how close it is. A small mind keeping a constant, running ledger of risk. And it watches very carefully for thieves. If a squirrel believes it is being watched while it hides its food, it will sometimes dig a hole, press its nose down, make a careful show of burying nothing, and carry the real prize somewhere else entirely. Scientists call it deceptive caching, a small, deliberate lie. And it is proof that the squirrel understands something profound, that other eyes can remember where its food went. So think, for a moment, about what it means when a squirrel buries food right in front of you and doesn't bother to fake it. It is not being careless. It has decided that you are not the kind of watcher it needs to deceive. And that, too, is something it remembers about you. Number 5, it remembers you as part of the map. Everything we have said, the location, the caches, the face, the long verdict of safety, all of it folds quietly into one single thing. You have become a landmark. Not a person it loves, not a pet that comes when called. A fixed, reliable point on a map the squirrel checks every single day of its life. And maps like that can last a surprisingly long time. A gray squirrel in the wild can live 5, even 6 years, long enough that the squirrel pausing on your fence this spring could be the very same one that paused in that exact spot 2 winters ago. The same animal, the same memory, slowly added to, one morning at a time. Which leaves us with something most people never stop to feel. The squirrel almost certainly remembers you far better than you remember it. It knows your door. It knows your hour. It knows your shape against the morning light. And you never even learn to tell it apart from all the others. So let's go back, now, to that little pause on the fence, the one you had stopped noticing. It was never simply waiting for food. Not really. It was checking the map, confirming that the world is still where it left it, that the branch still holds, that the yard is still safe, that you are still exactly where you are supposed to be. It is not visiting your yard, it is remembering you. Most people will live beside the same small, watchful animal for years and never once realize that they were known. But you know now, and the next time it stops, turns, and holds its eyes on you for just 1 second before it goes, you will understand that it is not deciding whether to trust you. It already did, a long time ago. And it never forgot. So tell me, has the same squirrel come back to your yard, season after season? Has one of them ever done something that made you feel, just for a moment, recognized? Tell me the story down in the comments. I read every single one, and I'll see you in the next one.